So you know by now, if you would like to pass data to any common component or sub-view inside your views, you can simply use a view composer. So I'm going to head immediately to my view service provider, and I can just use one more view composer. So I would like to just give it access to partials, but this time is going to be the header. I would like to name this one header, and I have to create this one. Again, it should be inside the view and then composers, and that's it. So let me create this one. So here we have one more composer. Let me just copy so we can ease our work a bit. Let me just copy those from here, which is the compose function. So now we can pass all sorts of items that we need to our view. In my case, I'm interested only to send the navigation links because nothing much fancy here. We just have navigation links inside our header. So I will just go ahead and define this new variable. So I will go ahead and paste it here so we will save some time, and I will explain it in a second. Okay, so nothing fancy here. This is just an array, and I would like actually to convert it to collection. So right now, this is a collection. Inside it, we have multiple items. With each item, we have title to be displayed, an icon as well. Then we have a route name, so we can generate a route, and at the same time a helper function, which is going to determine if this item should have an active CSS class or not. So the same thing applies for the categories, nothing fancy here. But let me just explain this function really quickly. So inside this function, I'm just using the match right now here, so I can just figure out if I to receive as a parameter name home, then I'm going to just make sure that only home has the active item. If I to pass something like categories index, then categories index and categories show, both of them are going to be the same exact item inside my side view to be active. So I know most likely right now we don't have visuals to just easily understand this piece, but what I'm trying to do is simply to have this active class on each navigation link to be active when I'm inside the index view, and at the same time when I'm inside the single view. So I can just get rid of this one because this is what eventually we are going to end up with, right? We are going to delete this one because it doesn't make sense to have inside the sidebar single category and single recipe, and I would like to just have categories. However, if I'm to view the categories and a single category, I would like to have the same exact active CSS class, which means this view. So let me head back and just use it so you can guys see it really easily, and it will just make sense then. So I know that this header composer is connected here with this partial, which means I can just go ahead to this partial and I can just use the variables that I have, which is only navigation links. So let me just go ahead and dump it so you can see it. Nav links as a variable. I can just refresh and I have access to it. So as you can see, here we have array with 4 items. Each item, we have the title of it, the icon of it, and then the route name, so we can generate a route for it. And at the same time, you know, the CSS classes, which means this route shouldn't be simply active. However, if I to visit, for example, this one, and this one's going to be the recipe catalog, it has a class active. So that's it with the navigation links. It's easy. You will understand it much more when we implemented HTML wise. So let me head back to here so we can just loop through those items, and then things will make much more logic. I will go ahead and for each item inside the navigation links as a link, and then inside the link, as you know, we have 4 items. If you to just forget it, then you can dump it again, and you can just refresh so you can remember them. Those what we have. Let me copy it for you guys as a comment, and then we can just use them. So I have a link and add title. So I will take this one as an example, and I will delete the others as usual and paste this example. So now we have link and then the title, right? Because we have title. And then we would like to generate a route to this page. So to do so, we can just go ahead and display the link, and inside it is going to be the route name. I just have to wrap all of this inside route function so I can generate a new route, right? When it comes to the icon, I already have it. I just have to use it dynamically. So let me just go ahead and use the link array, and this time at the index called icon. And that's it. We just have the CSS classes to implement. And this is where, as you can see here, we have active. Sometimes we could have active, sometimes not. It depends on our simple function, which is going to help us to determine so. So let me just again use this array, but this time add CSS classes as an index. So with this done, actually the navigation links, they are going to be dynamic or fully dynamic. One simple note to know that inside the header composer, I took the advantage of just writing 2 more routes which we don't have right now, but just bear in mind that we are going to create them in the future lessons. So for now we are good to go, so we can try it. And obviously we can generate a route which does not exist, so let me just temporarily create those 2 routes. I will head back here and I will create one route called recipes, and this one is going to go to the index, and I'm going to name it index. And does it work? It does. Now we need one more for the contact page, so let me just create one more, and this one is going to be contact, and inside my home controller, I'm going to make a function called contact in the future. Right now we don't have it, and I'm going to call this one pages.contact. So now we can simply see that our sidebar came to life finally. So now at least it's working just fine. If I to go home, I can see the home page. If I to go to the categories, I can see the categories page. And we don't have this one for now, so it will break, but this is it. Right now we have this one working just fine. And now it's time to do the same exact thing, but for our footer. So to do the footer, I will just do the same exact steps, but it will be much more easier actually. So the first step, as you remember, we should visit the view service provider. I will create one more binding between my view, which is footer, and at the same time something called footer composer. We don't have it, so we have to create it. And I can easily do so using PHP Storm view/composers and then create. As usual, we would like to have one function called compose. So let me just create it, compose, and then view, and I can pass to my view anything I wish. In my case, I'm just going to pass array of variables so we can pass the things that we need. And if you to take a look at the footer, honestly, we don't have much. We just have featured recipes and categories, and those both is something we did before. So I'm not going to just take much of your time, guys. I'm just going to copy it and paste it. So here they are. Two variables, categories and featured recipes. And let me just show it to you this way, or let me just reorganize it a bit. So as you can see, this is the categories and this is the featured recipes. So nothing fancy. I'm just going to immediately go ahead and use it. This time I'm going to use compact, and I'm going to pass two variables, categories and featured recipes. So to use them in the view, again, the same exact scenario, which you guys know about much more by now, which is I'm going to go ahead and loop through the categories and the featured recipes. However, here I would like to use the route actually. So that since we have it, let me just go ahead and route. We have the recipe show. Now I can pass the recipe itself. So this, at least those links are working just fine. But let me truncate a little bit the titles because they are pretty long. So here I will have the str helper to simply limit the characters to maybe only 20 characters. Let's see it. It makes much more sense. Let's do the same exact thing, but this time is for the category. So I will go ahead and use it here. But this one is going to be category. And it seems pretty good for now. And with this, I'm really glad because right now, we are coming so much closer to the end of this course. We just have to do the recipes index view and the contact view. But for me, I'm just going to do some links for some pages like this one, and at the same time, those links so they can work properly. And I will see you in the next video.